Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about control structures called loops. A loop is something that makes a piece of code run over and over again. So the first type of loop we will be talking about will be called the while loop. So the while loop will keep running until the loop condition is not true. So let me show you what a while loop looks like. We have while, and then inside the parentheses, we put some condition that is true. So anything that is true will go inside the parentheses. And then inside the loop, this is what happens over and over again. So let's say we want system.out.printf hi. So what this loop will do is it'll print out hi over and over again forever. So let's see what happens when we run this. We get hi printing over and over again, and right now, since it's doing over and over again, we can stop it by pressing this red button right here. If you ever run into a problem where something just keeps happening over and over again, you can press this red button down here, stop, to stop the program. So usually we have loop conditions rather than just doing something forever and ever. Like we may have int I equals 5, and then we might say while I is less than 10, and then we may say print out hi, and then we might say I plus plus. So what this will do is it'll say I equals 5, and then while I equals 10, we'll print it out, and then I plus plus. So when this section is finished, then the I++ will be checked over here. So the first time I equals 5, 5 is less than 10, then print out hi, and then we increment I. So then I is now 6, then we check this, 6 is less than 10, so then we print out hi, then we increment 7. 7 is less than 10, that's true, so then we print out hi, and then we increment again. So now it's 8. 8 is less than 10 is true, we print out hi, and then increment. Now I is 9. 9 is less than 10, then we print out 9, or we print out hi, and then we I++ 10. Then it checks over here, is 10 less than 10? No. So then we exit this section. Once the while loop condition is false, that is when we get out of the loop. So right here, I will print system.out.printf loop exit. How many times will this print? It'll print for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then when it gets to 10, it'll stop, so it won't print at 10. So it'll print out 5 times when it's I is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 5 times. And then when it hits 10, it'll come out of this section, and then it'll print this. So let's run this. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then loop exit. So we have printed out I 5 times. We can also better illustrate this by saying int I equals 0, I less than 5, and then instead of printing out hi, we can actually print out the variable I. So then we can see I will equal 0, it'll print out 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when we increment I, then 5 is not less than 5, so then it'll check is 5 less than 5, and then it's false, so it skips the while section, and then it prints this out, loop exited. So let's run that. Then we see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, loop exit. Because 5 is not less than 5, so it does not print out the 5. So this is the first type of loop called a while loop. There's another type of loop called a do while loop. So rather than having the while over here, what we do is we put a do, and then at the end of the do, we put while, and then I less than 5, and then we put our semicolon at the end. Do, and then while I less than 5. So what this will do is first it'll just go right into the loop, and then it checks it at the end. So how is this different? Well, first it'll print out 0, and then increment. So then it'll say 1, 1's less than 5. That's true. So it'll print out 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'll print out 4 here, and then it'll do 5, and then it'll say 5 less than 5, no. So then it will exit the do part because the while condition is false. So then it'll print out loop exit. So we should get the same output, but in some cases, the output might be different if we're doing other things. Sometimes it does matter whether the check goes after in a do while loop or before in a while loop. And rather than having the I++ over here, we can actually just have the I++ over here. Because what we're doing right now is we want the printf to happen first, and then we want to plus after the printf happens. So let's see, let's run this, and we should get the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and loop exit. So this is just another shortcut. We could also do a ++i over here. What we wanted to do before was we wanted the I++ to happen over here, and then we check the condition. So what we want to do first is we want to increment the I first and then do everything else afterwards. So if we run this, we should still see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then loop exit as our output. So those are just some shortcuts you can think of when making loops. The next type of loop is called a for loop. A for loop is very specific in how it works. So a for loop, it starts with for, and then the first part that goes in the for loop is called the initializer. So this is our loop counter. We have int I equals 0. I is the counter that will be incremented in the loop, and then we put a semicolon after that. So this initializes our counter and sets it to 0. We can set it to anything we want, but for this example, I'm setting it to 0. Then our next part after the first semicolon is our loop condition. So let's just say I less than 5 to keep the example similar. So this is our loop condition in the second one. And in the last part, we have our incrementer I++. So this is the structure of a for loop. Your first part is going to be your initializer, your second part is going to be your check, and your third part is going to be your incrementer. So then we can do system.out.printf, and I'll print out our variable I so we can see exactly what's going on inside the for loop. So how does this work? We have int I equals 0. It'll look at this first, and then it'll say, okay, is I less than 5? Well, 0 is less than 5. So then it'll print out the I, and then it's at the end of the loop. So then it'll go back in here. It'll increment, it'll say I++, and then it'll check, is I less than 5? I is now 1, so 1 is less than 5. So it goes over here, prints it out, and then it goes over here, I++. And then it checks again, I less than 5? That's true, because it's 2. So it keeps doing that until we get when I is 4, then it'll print out 4, then it'll do I++. 5. So is 5 less than 5? No. And then it'll exit this section and go directly to the loop exit. So let's run this and see what happens. And we get the same thing, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 loop exit. So these are the 3 loops for now. There's an additional loop we will talk about later on, which is called the for each loop, but we have to talk about another type of variable before I can explain what the for each loop is. So in the next video, we will do some example problems. In this video, I just kept it short. These were the types of loops, but we haven't really seen any applications of these. So in the next video, I will go over applications. Then after the applications and practice problems, I will talk about that other thing we need to talk about before I can talk about for each loop. And then I'll talk about the for each loop after that.